Greetings, comrades. My name is Gigantals, and there's a couple of things I'm going to discuss in this week's video. So, firstly, it's about the relationship between the RadTrads and the Eastern Rite Catholics that I've seen on Facebook. So, I don't like the RadTrads much because they like to claim that all the popes from Vatican II onwards are heretics, the Vatican II was heretical, that the Novus Ordo Mass is invalid, either invalid or illegitimate, I can't remember which one now, stuff like that. They're basically a dishonest set of vacantists. However, in a couple of arguments I've been seeing in some of my groups, the Eastern Rite Catholics have actually come forward and countered the claims that the RadTrads make. Now, if there's one thing that the RadTrads have in their arsenal, it's logical fallacies. And the biggest logical fallacy in their arsenal is the argument from tradition. It may sound strange, but that is a fallacy. Although the RadTrads like to ignore that and just try and claim that we should go back to the traditional way of things and abandon the Protestantized mass that the heretical magisterium made after Vatican II. However, the Eastern Rite Catholics, when they came to defend the Novus Ordo Mass, made it very clear that the aspects of the Novus Ordo Mass that the RadTrads were criticizing were themselves traditional. And this came up quite well in two arguments. So the first argument I saw was between a RadTrad who was claiming that communion on the hand is sacrilegious, and and on the other side of the ring was either a Chaldean or Maronite Catholic who was saying that communion on the hand is an apostolic tradition in some places in the East, and so to call the Novus Ordo illegitimate because of communion on the hand is to say that these Eastern rites for the last 2,000 years have been having invalid masses and also promoting sacrilegious behavior, as well as the fact that since it's an apostolic tradition, that the apostles were teaching sacrilegious behavior. And the RadTrad didn't really have a response to this. He just sort of he let his side of the conversation just die and stopped answering, because the Chaldean Catholic or Maronite Catholic, whoever they were basically not pestering. I don't mean pestering in a bad way, but they were trying to force the RadTrad to come up with an actual answer, saying, "Please explain to me how we Eastern Rites are in communion with Rome if we've been practicing sacrilegious behavior for the past 2,000 years." But it was interesting to see from the Eastern Rites that there was discontent with the RadTrad behavior and the claims made against them. The second argument I saw was about a RadTrad who was saying we should only receive on the tongue because for that we need to kneel and it will bring back reverence to the Mass. However, he was arguing with a Byzantine Catholic, and the Byzantine Catholic made it very clear that even though he had attended Mass frequently, he had never once knelt for communion until attending a Latin Mass. Because in the Byzantine rite, you receive on the tongue, but you don't kneel. And that is because they are using one of the canons from the First Council of Nicaea, which was almost 1,700 years ago, and it basically said that we shouldn't kneel for communion because kneeling is associated with penitential prayer. Sorry, my voice got away from me. It is associated with penitential prayer, and because of that, we should stand for receiving communion. So the RadTrad here was also very much cornered, and he tried to fight his way out, but he couldn't. And he found a really weird confession from the RadTrad, who he asked the RadTrad, "What do you say on the state of communion about the Eastern Rites with Rome?" And the RadTrad said, "Oh, that's a very controversial topic. Some people say they aren't in communion, some people say they are," and the Byzantine Catholic was getting really angry with him, saying, "No, we are in communion. Anyone who disagrees with that might as well be a set of vacantists, because they are ignoring the Pope's stance on the state of communion with the Eastern Rites." And to give an incorrect conclusion would be effectively undermining the entire magisterium, and you may as well become a set of vacantist, because they are letting several sacrilegious rites be considered in communion with Rome. And so it was interesting to see these Eastern Rite Catholics come forward and defend the Novus Ordo Mass, even though many of them don't go to it. They recognized that attacking the customs that they shared with the Novus Ordo Mass, the RadTrads were by extension attacking the legitimacy of the Eastern Rites themselves. So the RadTrads definitely made a massive mistake there in trying to argue from tradition, when the methods in the Novus Ordo Mass of receiving communion are themselves traditional, even if the Mass itself is 70. How old is the Novus Ordo Mass? 60 years old, which itself isn't exactly young anymore now, is it? I mean, that's way older than me. The second thing to discuss on the list this week is a number of victories I've been having with Captain. And I know I don't do gaming videos anymore on my channel, but that doesn't mean I've stopped gaming completely. And this is for a video I'm going to be releasing next week. It's going to be an exception to my current theology-only content on my channel. And the reason why is because me and Captain together in that video have become the first people to officially do something. And I'll give some backstory to it. Basically, the game we play together mostly is PUBG, or Player-Unknown Battlegrounds. And in it, every few months is a new event. Such as there was a Mission Impossible one at one point, a Godzilla vs. Kong one at another, and currently it's the Ancient Arise, which is it's an ancient Egyptian themed event. And there's a number of things in different maps that you have to do, such as going to sandstorms to get good quality weapons, going to temples and completing challenges whilst fighting scythed and flying mummies to get good weapons and stuff as well. But the main attraction of this event are the two giants walking across the map, and on their backs are temples that you need to get into. When you're in them, you get good quality weapons and fight off other players and cobras and zombies and stuff. But the whole point about these temples is to get to the top, where you have to end up defeating a final boss. And when we were watching the different playthroughs for this to defeat this boss, me and Captain noticed that there were only solo victories against the boss. Apparently, according to Facebook and YouTube and Reddit, no one had defeated the Emperor or final boss of this temple as a duo or squad. They've only ever done it solo. So what Captain and I did was we basically recorded ourselves defeating the boss twice as a duo, and we're going to put that out there so other people who want to complete it as a duo can before the event ends, as well as becoming the first and only recorded case of a duo defeating this final boss. I know it sounds... It's very much in contrast to the normal content I make on my channel, but I thought, you know what, I might as well. It's documented proof of something happening, even if it is just gaming. I like gaming with Captain. He's a better gamer than me, and just why not? Even though we can dedicate our lives to God on earth, but there's nothing wrong with having a little bit of fun every now and then, as many of the saints will tell you. You don't have to watch that video if you don't want to. It's just a short gaming video I'm putting together, explaining how we did it, how we defeated the boss. But otherwise, I'll be back to normal theological content the week after next, so 2 weeks from now. So look forward to the content I produce from then. So Eastern Catholics defending the Novus Ordo Mass, and me and Captain proving we have the only documented proof of defeating a final boss together as a duo. And hopefully you all have a good weekend. So otherwise, God bless you all. See you in the next video, comrades. Until then.